Thank you, Dr. Gilstein, and apologies, my colleague Amjad in Gaza had an emergency press conference. I am also the secretary of the steering committee of PNGO, so I represent the organization, but from the West Bank. The situation that we as Palestinians are living through, it's not just the horrendous 22 months of ongoing genocide in the Gaza Strip and the ongoing ethnic cleansing in the West Bank. What we have been going through, what was termed by Noor Musalha, is the ongoing Nakba, the ongoing dehumanization of Palestinians, driving us away from our lands, driving us away from our ability to produce and reproduce in our lands, to have any kind of access to water, to land, to resources, to travel. And these kinds of violations, to be honest, they were normalized. It was treated as the status quo. Every country that used to come used to say, we want to keep the status quo. And the status quo was that there's Jewish supremacy, unfortunately, Jewish Israeli supremacy over Palestinians, where any Jewish that had an Israeli citizenship benefited from rights and from protections that were not offered for Palestinians. You know, before even 2023, before the ongoing genocide, it was the bloodiest year for Palestinians in like 20 years or so. It was the year that had the highest number of recorded killings of Palestinian children. The land seizures, everything in that regard, even the blockade on Gaza that was continuous from even the year 2000. 2005 was the year that the blockade was actually strengthened, but since the year 2000, Gaza has lived under the blockade. And the plans to kick out Palestinians from Gaza, you can trace it up until the 1950s. It was always a dream of the Israeli government and the Israeli ruling powers to push us out as Palestinians. What we saw, or what is the main lesson understood from this ongoing genocide and from this moment, that whatever the outcome might be, however this ends, Israelis need to stop having any control over Palestinians. And this kind of control cannot stop on its own. It needs massive international intervention. What has been proven is that the voice of reason, the voice of justice, is not listened to. Unfortunately, not in Israel, and not also, unfortunately, in the US administration. So what is needed at this moment, what we pushed for as civil society, we came to the conclusion to call for international protection. Although this call is new in this context, but it's not new historically to us. There have been different calls for protection of Palestinian civilians. Back, for example, in 1991, when a massacre was committed against 7 Palestinians, this was even before the Oslo Accords, Palestinian civil society went on hunger strike in the Red Cross in Jerusalem. About 14 activists, leaders of Palestinian civil society, went on a 14-day hunger strike, calling for the Security Council and the UN to issue a statement to put focus and calling for international protection. And they stopped their hunger strike once there was a statement from the UN, United Nations, that called for investigations and brought attention to the issue. So having to fight even as Palestinians to bring attention to our issue, to our causes, to our suffering is not even new to us. What we are hoping to achieve at this moment is that the free nations of the world, the people that have conscience, that they can come together and push for an international protective force. We don't want any, as Palestinians, and I can say this as civil society, as a Palestinian that has suffered under occupation and that is still subjected to different measures from the Israeli occupation. We don't want any more single soul to be killed. We don't want any more loss of life. What we want, and I quote here also Professor Sachs, is an international force that would come in and would put a stop to all of this bloodshed, put a stop for the dehumanization of Palestinians that's happening. And in this regard, what we see as imperative also is to bring Israel and the Israeli government to the same standards that any other nation around the world, any other government is being brought to. The same standards of the need to respect for human rights, the need to adhere to international law and international humanitarian law, and need to stop illegal actions such as annexations, settlement building, ethnic cleansing of Palestinian communities, and of course, I would say even the discriminatory actions against even Palestinians that are citizens of the state of Israel. So these kinds of actions that as Palestinian civil society we call for, we don't call for war, we call for peace, but we understand that there can never be peace without justice. Unfortunately, the Saudi French proposal that proposes a stabilization force does not reflect this spirit, does not reflect a spirit that Palestinians are at the essence human beings and deserve to have their lives, their property, their future protected. Thank you for this, and thank you also for all of this organizing for Dr. Schilstein, Craig, everyone here on this panel that is raising their voice for peace and justice in Palestine. It's the responsibility of states. It needs political will behind it. We've seen already the president of Colombia say that he intends to file a motion at the General Assembly Uniting for Peace for a protective force to protect Palestinian civilians. And I think this is an important step and shows political will. What I think is that this political will is not generated in the vacuum. It is generated by people like yourselves, like the audience, like the larger people in the streets, the people that are participating in the Samud Flotilla, every kind of activist person that pushes for change.